Edward Timpson.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Deputy Speaker. And it's fair to say that the pandemic has made many of us re-evaluate our real priorities in our own lives, at home, in our communities and across the country. What do we truly value? How can we nurture all that we need for future generations to thrive and not falter? Now, it could well be a crowded field, Madam Deputy Speaker, but I'm in no doubt that providing every child with the best possible start in life should sit at the very top of that priority list. And it's why I was delighted to be involved in the seminal review carried out by my right honourable friend, the member for South Northamptonshire, to whom I pay tribute, and also understand it's her birthday today, into the early years healthy development that was published in March of this year, and pleasingly forms a key part of this government's legislative and policy programme set out in Her Majesty's gracious speech. And within that review, I very much support many of the key action areas that came out through a lot of work, deliberation and evidence gathering. In particular, the Start for Life offer, which mirrors in some ways the local offer that, when I was Children's Minister, we brought in relation to special educational needs and disability. The formulation and growth of family hubs. And again, I welcome the government's commitment and investment to date, but there's plenty more that we can do to realise the huge potential that the family hubs model has. And also the development of a more modern and skilled workforce to meet the changing needs of children and families, and also making sure that in doing that it's relentlessly child-focused, so we can build the proper support around children and their families that we know works. And crucially, also, how we can improve the accountability, the data and the understanding the impact of some of the interactions and interventions that we have with families, particularly in those very early years when we know we can make the biggest difference. And if we don't get it right in those critical early years, weeks, months, then we're simply storing up deep-rooted difficulties for decades to come. And that's why, as you will have heard earlier, Madam Deputy Speaker, I've also, alongside the always sunny Honourable Lady for Washington and Sunderland West, have been co-chairing an early years commission looking at the 0 to 5 age group, which will soon be published as a cross-party manifesto, in recognition of the fact that we needed to come together to seek to address the long-term challenges associated with the early years and to set out a long-term plan that has the capacity to endure beyond the changing faces of government. Now, many of those findings and conclusions, with some relief on my part, chime with and complement the early years healthy development review, whilst at the same time stretching some of the core of this offer to children, as I say, up to the age of 5. And the review is unequivocal in its recommendations that when it comes to the levelling up agenda, which we've heard so much about, particularly for those children living in households with high levels of deprivation, the education, health and development of young people must be society's top priority, as must community and professional support for parents to help them make their homes a nurturing, safe environment from where babies and toddlers can take their first steps towards a healthy, happy and productive life, and by putting children at the centre of their community and public services. And by prudently and effectively investing in early years education, we can, I believe, together start to transform the life chances of many more children in our country, wherever they happen to live. I also very much support the Education Recovery Plan that's being led by the Commissioner, Sir Kevin Collins, who I know is working hard to find the right formula to help bridge the gaps and build a system that is giving better and fairer opportunity for children as we come out of the pandemic. And that's against an important backdrop of £1.7 billion worth of support through the Education Recovery Plan, the catch-up package, the tutoring programmes and the recovery premium, as well as the £400 million we know that's been used to improve access to remote learning, the digital divide that we saw play out during the last year, including in Eddisbury in my constituency. And we also know that the increase in support for schools needs to be replicated in the early years. But there's two other aspects, just quickly, Madam Deputy Speaker, the time I have, I want to touch on in respect of school life. and how we need to continue to do more and have better focus. The first is on school exclusions. I led an independent review of school exclusion 2 years ago, and there has been some progress, for instance, the £10 million on behaviour hubs, but there's still much to do. For instance, the Practice Improvement Fund and making sure schools are responsible for children they exclude, as well as moving alternative provision into the mainstream as a centre of excellence. So I hope to meet with ministers soon to discuss the progress of all of my recommendations so that we can make further and important progress. I've also, as I found myself on the backbenches, Madam Deputy Speaker, found time to chair a task force on the future of physical education, with support from the Association for Physical Education and others, including Jason Robinson, the England Rugby Union star and World Cup winner, who saw PE as the thing that changed his life from a road of failure to one of success. And one of the consequences of the pandemic has been a deeply concerning drop-off in physical exercise and activity amongst children of all ages. But now with schools back and sports and activities reopening, there are signs of improvement, but there's also evidence emerging, I'm afraid, that some schools are reducing physical education time in order to focus on catch-up in other subject areas. So we do need to look specifically at physical education, and within that, a key life skill of swimming, where we saw 150,000 children leaving primary school without being able to swim 25 metres. The situation clearly needs addressing, both urgently as part of a welcome catch-up programme and more systematically with physical education by ensuring that all its irrefutable and lifelong impact on physical, social, emotional and cognitive development is at the very heart of school life. And in doing so, we can take another step forward in our shared ambition of giving every child the best possible start in life.
Yeah.